So, what does a typical day-to-day look like for you as the musical director?
It just, I wake up about 5:30, get to work around 6:30 or 7, and it's just nonstop, 7 days a week. So Mondays are band rehearsal day. We have about 6 hours. I think you heard that in the little video you watched, to do all of our music for the next week. So we do 6 karaoke's a week, and there's 6 acts per episode. So we do, blah, 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 math. 12 bumpers per episode, 6 times a week. So it's something like 80 to 90 cues a week that we have to rehearse for every Monday, plus all of our little custom things. We record those rehearsals, and then I have to do mixes of them, because that's what Kelly never rehearses with us until the morning, about 15 minutes before she performs it on camera. So I have to give her mixes to rehearse to, instrumental, one with BGVs with the band.
Wow.
And she listens to those in glam that morning. She goes, and then we film for about 3 hours per episode, and then afterwards I go back into post and work on the mix and editing and.
Wow, so you're involved in the whole process. That's interesting. Yeah. I'm surprised it doesn't go like, you do it, you do your thing, and then like it goes off to post-production, but you are the post-production.
Well, I mean, it does after I do my thing. We have a post-production mixer, but there's a whole lot more elements that need to go in, and so we'll, sometimes we'll take stuff from a better pass or comp something together and just, or I need to do mixes to get approved. We have guest artists on, and there's just,
they have to approve the mix. Interesting. Yeah. All these things you just never know about the music industry behind the scenes.
Yeah, the red tape and the layers is just, it was a shock coming, I heard you made a comment about trying to imagine the red tape involved in covering a song on television.
So I wanted to talk about that, yes.
And it's, so this was all brand new to me 2 years ago. So coming out of the touring world, Kelly wants to cover a song, we can perform any song we want to. As you know, there's a compulsory license. So once a song has been released by law, anybody can cover it without, all you have to do is pay the fee. You don't have to get permission from the artist to cover somebody's song live. As soon as you record it for video, then you have to go to the publisher and the artist and get permission for it. So I had, first of season 1, we get all our requests from fans and they're like, we want to hear Kelly cover this. So I made a list of like 30 songs so that we can prepare for the month. And, we're like, this person wants this song, this song. So I started arranging, we started recording, and then we got our first batch back from licensing, and over half the songs were denied by the artist. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a challenge. So
how does that even happen? Like, who would say no to Kelly Clarkson covering a song? I'm not asking for names. I'm just saying, like,
there's a lot of artists that are very precious about it, and it's not about Kelly Clarkson. There's 3 or 4 artists that have major hits that we've been trying to cover. That it's just a blanket no to anybody. It's not Kelly, doesn't care who it is. It's going to be a no.
Really? That seems so counterintuitive as an artist.
And you have to have everybody sign off. So even if a lot of times the artists themselves have said yes to a song, but then maybe a co-writer has said no, or so I learned really quickly. It shrunk my workflow because I realized you're not going to plan ahead. So sometimes now we're getting our list. I get a list every Thursday from our clearance department of what new songs are cleared. And if we have an audience member slated for the following Tuesday that requested the song, I might not find out till Thursday, hey, that song didn't clear. So I don't start working on songs now until they've actually cleared. And fortunately, as the shows become more successful, like there was a batch of songs from a few artists that we really, really wanted to cover and had a lot of requests for. That season 1 we were denied, and season 2 we're like, yep, cleared them all. So
interesting. That's wild, man. Because I deal with something similar in the aspect of like when I do like the breakdowns of music on my channel, what the monetization aspect of like, or even the blocking aspect of the copyright claims. And I'm like, I always think like, oh, of course, the bigger channels, I'm sure that they, they work something out. But even Kelly Clarkson gets denied for these cover songs. That is wild. I can't believe that. That's...
Yeah, I couldn't either. It was a shock to me, and that was my first reaction. I'm like, why wouldn't artist A or songwriter A want to make the money off of licensing for the show?
Well, not even that, but it just promotes the song more. Like, forget the money to some degree. It's like, why wouldn't you just want like that? It's gonna be on national television by somebody like that's like I don't know.
But that exact thought is the same reason why some artists are like, it doesn't matter about the money. This art is precious to me, and I just I don't want other versions of it.
True. That is so fascinating.
Yeah, so it's been a huge learning curve. That and on tour, there's literally been times where I wake up and I get a text from Kelly that I want a harp player today, or I want a kids choir, or I want to.
And you're in the middle of Tokyo, and you got to figure that out.
and that's like I thrive off that stuff. Like it really stresses out some of our crew guys, but there's nothing more exciting to me than being given an impossible task and given the resources to do it and making it happen. Mm-hmm. So I came into this TV show with that mentality, and so for 18 years I've had one boss, Kelly Clarkson, and so whatever she says, I get to do it. First week of the TV show, we had a cooking segment called 18th Century Cooking, and they wanted to dress us up medieval, and the producers asked me to write a medieval cue for us to play. So, Jocko, our guitar player, brought a lute, and I rented something called not a didgeridoo, a hurdy-gurdy. I rented a hurdy-gurdy because I Googled what are medieval instruments. Rented a hurdy-gurdy from Hans Zimmer, our guitar player.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
Yeah, and so didn't know it was a thing, and it's this crazy little violin pump thing. You kind of play like a keyboard that has violin strings. So we used it for our 8-second segment, and I got the invoice. And it was like $800 to rent it for the day, and I sent an invoice into the show, and I'm like, yeah, we rented this, and they're like, yeah, no, you didn't get approval for this, and I'm like, no, Kelly said it was cool. That's not how it works in corporate world. So I ate the cost of that one and learned a quick lesson. And so I'm still getting to do everything I had, everything that's led up to me being able to do what I do. It's just now there's just a different layer on top of it. It's not a bummer. It's just a new challenge learning.
Sure. It's a learning curve, 100%.
You have the corporation even to ask permission, for different things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was very, it's amazing. Yeah. And for people that don't know, the Hans Zimmer, the reason I've laughed at that is he has done every single movie score that you've ever heard, like any major motion picture. He's wild. Like that's crazy. That's so funny.
And I actively peruse, the fan message boards, like there's Pulse and there's the Kelly Express, and I've always been an advocate for the fan to Kelly, and so I love being able to tell you some of the things behind the scenes because I get Instagram DMs all the time. Well, why didn't you do this, or why can't we do this, or why it's just like there's so many more factors involved in this. Like people half the time I agree with them, I'm like, yeah, it would be awesome if we would touch this song, but we can't.
Yeah.